So hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the finale of our Season 1 here on F1 Manager 23. Now, there's not too much for us to play for as a team at Alpine this weekend, but there is one big story going into this final race, and that story concerns P2 in the Drivers' Championships. Max Verstappen's got it won, but Sergio Perez in the Red Bull is currently sat in P3. Can Charles Leclerc get a second place for the Ferrari team in the Drivers' Championship? Going to be very, very interesting. And what will that mean for Checo Perez's future going into next season? That is something we'll know. Esteban Ocon has got P9 sorted. There's a battle going on between Pierre Gasly and Alexander Albon as well, so something to note there. Constructor standings wise, Red Bull's got it tied up from Ferrari. Nothing to play for really in terms of the constructors. We're in P5. That's what our season objective was. We will fulfill that. Obviously, we've been hindered by the cost cap in the second part of this season. And if we have a little look now, we are rather quite a bit over it, about 9 million. We are going to get a fine, but as you can see in the bottom corner, we've managed to save up some cash to warrant that as well. Rumours going into next season, just to take you back to the constructors, this is going to be changing quite dramatically. Audi coming in. There's talk of Andretti Cadillac coming in to take over Alpine. I've got a lot of changes going into the next season. It's going to be very exciting. Where will we be? Obviously, we've breached the cost cap. The team are quite happy with us in general at this moment in time. They're disappointed in terms of the finances, which we know, but they're satisfied with us at the moment. So will Alpine, or whoever takes over Alpine, be happy to keep us on board? Driver transfers, of course, so a lot to look forward to going into next season. For this race, we do head to Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi. 58 laps round here. We know it's a fantastic end to the season. Whichever side of the coin you were on in 2021, it was a fantastic spectacle for the end of the season. They expect a strategy. You can do a one-stop, you can do a two-stop. Plenty of options. We're going to keep that all in mind. Our cars are not at the peak, it must be said, but we've got the best components possible. So let's just enjoy it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's finish this very first tough season we've had with Alpine, and let's get to qualifying.
Welcome everyone to qualifying. This should be a good one.
Qualifying consists of 3 periods, with the slowest drivers eliminated after each one. With the pressure mounting, who can secure a strong starting position for the race?
If we turn our attention to Pierre Gasly for a minute, Karun, how's he going to be feeling as qualifying approaches?
The main thing on my mind was their speed in practice. They just weren't that fast. But was that down to the driver, the car, the team experimenting? We don't know, and we'll just have to see how they fare in qualifying.
So here we are, ready to resume.
Huge moment here in qualifying. This is the first time we've seen this. Just as our two guys went out for the final run, we got a red flag in qualifying, and that has meant that both of our cars are out in Q2. Very disappointing indeed. We didn't manage to get that final run on. Alexander Albon's got a grid penalty in his fight with Pierre Gasly, so that's something to watch out for, but very, very disappointing indeed for us, the Alpines, 11th and 12th. For Sunday's grid. Let's have a look at the strategy. Right, ladies and gents, final strategy of the season, and it's going to be this. We have got 2 fresh sets of soft compound tyres. We are going for the 2-stop strategy. Soft, medium, soft. Both cars might as well use the tyres up. P8, P9 for Esteban and Pierre Gasly. Look, there's not much riding on this. Pierre, if you can beat Albon, I'll be happy with that. But let's just enjoy this race, see what happens in the fight for P2, and move on towards next season. 5 red lights coming right up.
Only 58 laps stand between the drivers and the checkered flag here under the lights at the Yas Marina circuit. The calm composure of Sergio Perez amongst the hustle and bustle of the grid.
They're 4th on the grid, so I'd expect to see them mount a challenge for the top 3 in this race.
And it'll be exciting to see just what will happen here today. Anything could happen. It's the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And away we go, and we could see some sparks on the left-hand side there. I don't know if somebody's left an angle grinder on one of the cars, but we can see Verstappen leading away. Esteban Ocon in P8, Esteban Ocon's got a Ferrari behind him, of all things. Very, very interesting for Esteban Ocon early doors in this race. If we have a look at the tyres, a lot of the top guys choosing to start on mediums. By the way, shout out to Nico Hülkenberg, P6 for Nico Hülkenberg. Fantastic for him. And look at Charles Leclerc go there, diving down the inside of Esteban Ocon. And already we can see the Gasly and Albon race starting, because Alexander Albon is going for a move here on lap 1 in the Williams. The Williams is out-developed, and obviously we've had that cost cap issue. But Pierre Gasly is going to have to be very aggressive with the overtakes, and we're going to tell Esteban Ocon to be exactly the same. We need Esteban and Pierre. If we can score some points today, it's absolutely ideal. And by the way, how good does this look? The sun setting in Abu Dhabi. What a place to be. I love this end of the season race here. And straight away we can see Ocon fighting with Albon. Gasly a little bit further back, and Gasly just doing his utmost to try and stay in the DRS of the two cars in front. Very important that Gasly doesn't drop too far back, because the Williams car of Logan Sargent's going to be fighting him all the way as well. Lap 1, it's Verstappen leading, then it's the two Aston Martins of Stroll and Alonso. Then comes Checo Perez, Sainz, Hamilton, Hülkenberg in P7. Then comes Leclerc, Ocon, Albon and Gasly. Is it Leclerc that's got the sparks coming from his car? No, it's the Ferrari in front. It's Carlos Sainz who appears to have the sparks coming out of his car. However, the floor's a bit too low there, but yeah, it doesn't look great at all for the Ferrari early doors. Ocon just about holding on to the back of the two cars in front, and we are now going to tell our guys to just go a bit steadier on the tyres now. We've overcooked them a little bit, drop the fuel back a bit and start using the ERS to catch up with the guys in front. But Ocon got to get back in that DRS of Nico Hülkenberg. Lap 5, we've got a few cars that's taking grid penalties, starting to make their way through the pack, and George Russell is one of them with the DRS. We weren't a match for him, to be fair. It was aggressive round the outside of Pierre Gasly, and George Russell is now up into P11. You can see the battle going on in front, and that battle concerns Esteban Ocon and Nico Hülkenberg. But we're just playing this nice and safe at this moment in time. We're not being overly pushy to overtake him. I don't think that's going to benefit us in any way, really. So we're just quite happy to stick behind, keep overtaking with DRS, and what we're trying to do is actually pull Albon back into the clutches of Pierre Gasly. But at the moment, Gasly just struggling to keep touch, obviously in that very the very sort of lower performance car of the two Alpines today. But Esteban Ocon doing a decent job. On lap 5, Stroll now leads from Verstappen. It's a two-horse race at the front between these two guys. Verstappen coming back at him as he goes to the inside. We're going to switch to the helmet cam, which we've very much enjoyed on this first season here on F1 Manager 23. And Max Verstappen, as he gets the power down now, we can see Stroll weaving about, trying to break the toe. But here comes Max Verstappen with the DRS. Will he be able to make a move? He goes to the inside, does Max Verstappen, and as he's into this left-hander, he's got the job done there. Beautiful work from Max Verstappen. Interesting little side note as well, Bridgestone tyres may be coming back next season, so we are going to be moving away from the Pirelli range and going to the Bridgestone tyres. The deal's been agreed on this final weekend, and Bridgestone will be the tyre manufacturer for the next season here on our F1 Manager save. Ocon's still in P9, still fighting with Hülkenberg. Albon's backing up Russell, and Gasly is just dropping like a stone. We may need to have a little rethink with Pierre. Lap 7. Lap 11, we see Esteban Ocon. He was fighting with Nico Hülkenberg, but Alexander Albon's got involved in the fight. And Alexander Albon on the medium compounder tyres, managing to get round us there. Disappointing from us, that. We've been in a decent position fighting with Nico Hülkenberg, and then Albon's managed to sneak through into second in this little train. So Alexander Albon will be happy about that, sorry. Esteban Ocon, a little bit less so. And more the problem is, we've got a very quick Mercedes of George Russell behind us as well. And George Russell is looking punchy early doors in this race. I would expect a safety car around here, and there is always the option for that. And we're very aware that we may be changing strategies should we need to. But Pierre Gasly doing okay at this moment in time. He's struggling with the car, but just holding at bay Yuki Tsunoda. But we don't need Alexander Albon scoring points today if we can help it. And somehow Gasly has got to do something a little bit special to get into the top 10. Verstappen's back in the lead from Stroll, and Perez 3.7 seconds back. But at the moment, I believe if we have a look at the standings, which I will remember how to do here, Driver standings wise, Checo Perez for the Drivers' Championship will be back up into P2. So in that little battle at the moment, Perez doing enough to hold off Charles Leclerc. And on lap 13, Ocon starting to drop back. He lost the DRS, and as soon as he did that, George Russell thought, well, that'll do me, pal. I'll be past you in no time, and he certainly was. So Ocon now got to latch onto the back of the Mercedes. Very disappointing for Ocon. He didn't qualify too badly. He looks like he got a little bit of pace this weekend, but we are struggling to keep up with these guys in front as George Russell slams on the brakes here. And we are starting to really hold each other up, this crew at the front. And look at the gap that has left now as we tell them to deploy to get back into the DRS, because that is no use at all. We lost a lot of time in that corner, lap 13. And on lap 15, Esteban Ocon has just made a fantastic move on Nico Hülkenberg. Just decided to stick his nose in down that left-hander and is now up into P10, I believe that is, in this little trend. So fantastic work from him. Still latching onto the back of this Mercedes just about. So Ocon into the points and has the DRS on the Mercedes. So hopefully can stick with him. Remember, we're going soft, medium, soft today. I'm hoping that's going to be a more optimal strategy than a couple of these other guys are on. But straight away, you can see Ocon now really managing to hang on to the back of this Mercedes. I'm possibly planning on bringing Gasly in first. I think he's got more to gain. As we can just flick to this little battle now, because Yuki Tsunoda's just overtaken Pierre Gasly, who now does have the DRS back on Yuki Tsunoda. He's not having a nice time, Pierre Gasly, towards the end of this season. But the strategy today might pay dividends for Pierre, as Ocon now has dropped Hülkenberg. So Ocon's managed to stick with George Russell. Beautiful work from him as we see Checo Perez coming in, the first one of the soft runners, and he's onto a set of medium compound tyres. It's a decent stop from the Red Bull guys, and Checo Perez, let's have a look where he's going to come out. We can see Esteban Ocon coming around the final couple of corners. Checo Perez should get out in front of this little battle, but Pierre Gasly just now tagging onto the back of Tsunoda. We've got a yellow flag on circuit, no safety car. I was hoping there might be, because Esteban Ocon is coming in at next lap, but it's Carlos Sainz locking up now. Let's have a little look at this. Carlos Sainz, whose car's been spraying sparks all over the Yas Marina circuit all afternoon, locking up into that first long left-hander. So he's now going to come back onto the track, losing a bit of track position there. But Esteban Ocon coming in next lap. We have had a strategy change, and it's going to be Ocon's going to go onto the medium, really push on the mediums, and then hopefully get out onto the hard compound tyre earlier, get the undercut. That is the plan at least. So Esteban Ocon coming in this lap will come back when he's into the pits. And on lap 19, in comes Esteban Ocon for his pits. George Russell's pits as well, very interestingly. George Russell going onto a set of soft compound tyres, was that? George Russell onto the softs. We're going onto the mediums. Hülkenberg's into the pits as well. He's going onto the hard compounder tyre. So Esteban Ocon, it was a decent pit stop. 2.5 seconds for Esteban Ocon. Let's see where he comes out. Gasly may be coming in this lap as well. So something for him to bear in mind. We're going to keep Pierre Gasly on the strategy we went with originally, I believe. So yeah, Esteban Ocon out in a nice bit of clean air. Good work from the team. Pierre Gasly out is going to be in next lap. Pierre Gasly in to the pits on lap 20. 2.5 second stop for Pierre. Let's see where he comes out. He's already behind his teammate. He's lost the position, I believe, to Yuki Tsunoda as he goes under the tunnel. It's some pit lane, this, by the way. And he's going to come out in a little bit of traffic, is Pierre. Is he going to manage to get past these two? He doesn't want to be behind the two asses if he can help it. He isn't. And he's out behind Oscar Piastri, who is on very worn medium tyres. So now it's time for Pierre Gasly to start pushing. If he can get past this car as quick as he possibly can, this is the moment for him. We're going to go aggressive on the tyres. He's already going for it on the fuel as well, and trying to push away from the McLaren and get going now, because this is a big fuel lap for Pierre Gasly in this race. Ocon's pushing now. He can go onto the hard compounder tyre at the end. Gasly, we're still monitoring whether we want to go soft or hard at the end with Pierre. We may go a little bit later, but we shall see. Lap 21, a couple of the front runners coming in. And sometimes don't you just wish you'd have pitted a lap later, because Yuki Tsunoda has just gone and done this. Slamming into the barriers. It's caused a VSC. Yuki Tsunoda calling himself a certain idiot. He's going to be very disappointed with that. But yeah, Pierre Gasly will be absolutely gutted at that because he really, really could have gained some positions there in this race, could Pierre Gasly. He's now got his tyres up to temperature, so that's fine. It's P13 and P14 for our guys. Albon, Magnussen, Sargent, all yet to pit. Verstappen is pitting, as is Lance Stroll. Let's have a little look. Let's have a little look at what he goes on to. He's going onto the soft compound tyre on the middle stint. There's a fantastic range of strategies. It was a little bit of a slow stop from the Red Bull guys. I don't know if he was waiting for Lance Stroll, possibly. As we see Verstappen now trundling down the pit lane. Stroll got a better deal there. Hamilton's in as well. So Lewis Hamilton into the pits. The guys who hadn't pit yet, it was a no-brainer to pit. I'll be interested to see if such as Sargent, Magnussen, Norris, these guys all pit as well. This could be a big, big problem for us in this race. And a few of those guys did, and it must be said, Alexander Albon is the one who has profited the most from that. He is now in P9. Lando Norris yet to pit. He's been the big winner from that VSC in this little midfield fight. Checo Perez still doing enough, but Leclerc has as well. Let's not write off Charles Leclerc. Oh, Charles Leclerc's not pitting. Is this a big mistake from Ferrari? Because Charles Leclerc has not come in under VSC. That could cost him. That could cost him P2 in the championship. Lap 34, and we have reverted to type with the tyre wear at this moment in time. Just to bring you up to date on what's happening, Esteban Ocon's tyre wear is absolutely fantastic at this moment. So we're just going to go back to the soft compound tyre at the end. Maybe we get lucky with a safety car. We can go onto the soft compound tyre. That's what we're hoping for. It's P10 for Ocon. It's P11 for Gasly, but crucially, it's P8 for Albon, who's fighting away with George Russell. Meanwhile, at the front, Charles Leclerc now is leading Checo Perez, and maybe they did play a blinder Ferrari because Leclerc's leading Perez, and that could secure P2 in the championship. Verstappen looks like he's got it won, as he won everything else this season. Basically, yeah, Lance Stroll in P2. Right, we've got a few cars pitting this lap, and both Alpines are going to be pitting now. I've took the gamble here that we are going to be able to coordinate these pit stops in such a way that we are going to look absolutely brilliant for the prospective new team owners next year. So if this lets me down, I might be in a bit of trouble, because in comes Esteban Ocon. Both cars going onto the soft compounder tyre. Let's have a little look. We need 2 good pit stops. That's the first one, and Pierre Gasly is in as well, so 2.6 seconds. It wasn't a bad one, that. Let's have a little look now. Soft compound tyre on for Pierre Gasly. It's 2 good pit stops. That might just save my job going into next season. I've been resting the pit stop guys quite a lot, and we're going to come out now in P13. Let's have a little look. We've got a few hard runners in front of us, but both our guys now are on the soft compounder tyre. I am expecting big things now from Esteban, from Pierre Gasly. Let's be aggressive. Let's get those tyres up to temperature, push on the fuel, and now it's time to start using what we can, because this is a very important part of our race. We're going to start deploying next lap and get these tyres up to temperature. Could we even get a fastest lap of the Grand Prix? I very much doubt it. But lap 42, Stroll leading from Leclerc. Stroll's got to pit again. Leclerc's going to the end, but Verstappen on soft compound tyres. He's going to keep it interesting towards the end. Esteban Ocon making his way through the field beautifully on these soft compounder tyres. The 2 stops starting to pay dividends, and he's now overtaken the Haas of, I believe that's Kevin Magnussen, managing to get past him. And while that's happened as well, somebody else has pit. I believe it was Logan Sargent who's pit. He's in for some medium compound tyres to go towards the end. But Esteban Ocon now up into P10, up into the points, and has got a massive tyre offset on Magnussen. So it should be points for Esteban Ocon today. Pierre Gasly, not quite at this moment in time. He's breezed away from Lando Norris, but struggling to get up with this pack in front. So more work to do for Pierre Gasly. Can he catch Kevin Magnussen? Possibly. I believe he may be able to get P11, but we shall see. Verstappen's still leading. He's now in front by 9 seconds. It's 1 for him. Leclerc's in P2. Perez is in P4. If we look at the driver standings, which we will do now, Leclerc would finish ahead of Perez, I believe, on race wins. So that's a really, really interesting little battle. 1 position either way could swing it. Lap 46. Last lap of the Grand Prix. Max Verstappen leading the way, but let's have a little look at the driver's standings because currently Checo Perez is leading Charles Leclerc by 1 point. Charles Leclerc is not going to be able to attack Lance Stroll. He's too far back on those hard compounded tyres now. They are practically dead and buried. And neither Checo Perez looks like he's safe as well. Without any mistakes on this last lap, Checo Perez could possibly remain in P2 in the driver's standings. Max Verstappen making his way round the Yas Marina circuit. It's been a dominant season for Max Verstappen. It's been a pleasure to watch at times. We've really struggled to get anywhere near the Red Bulls. Ferrari tried for a little while, won a couple of races, but it's not been their time. Maybe next season with all the changes coming. ALPHATAURI changing. They're not going to be ALPHATAURI anymore next season. We've got Hugo Boss as the main sponsor for them. So there's a lot of changes going into next year. And going into this year, there wasn't many changes. But Max Verstappen, as always, dominating. Brilliant performance from him. He's going to round off the season with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as well. Max Verstappen, your world champion for this season. Lance Stroll coming around in P2. Ocon is the first of the laps cars to finish. He gets a point on the final race as Alpine F1.
Yeah,
Thanks for sticking with him. I agree. It's been a long season and we've got to thank Ocon and Gasly for sticking with us as well. P10, P11, we got some points. And I think Pierre Gasly will be happy to see the back of this season. And probably the back of this car as well. It's not worked for him towards the end. He's a race engineer saying it's not a bad result there. We put on a good show. We did some overtaking. There's no close battles. Everybody's just sort of driving around spaced out. So we'll get to the podium scenes for the final podium of the season.
And among the drivers returning now is Charles Leclerc.
And third place sees them round off today with a trophy to mark the occasion.
And no doubt, Verstappen fans will be celebrating the Dutchman's achievement.
The wins just keep coming and coming. We'll be running out of superlatives at this rate, Crofty.
And so there we have it once again. Max Verstappen on the top step. Lance Stroll on the podium. That could be very big for his career as well. But let's have a little look at the final standings. And so we saw Max Verstappen winning from Lance Stroll. Charles Leclerc getting the podium. Perez doing just enough. On the driver's side. No, he didn't. Checo Perez maybe had a penalty. But Checo Perez got P3 in the Drivers' Championship. So I'm not quite sure what happened there. The live standings showed that a little bit differently. But Charles Leclerc has got P2. What an achievement for him. Checo Perez could be very much under threat. No race wins in that very quick Red Bull this season. Esteban Ocon finished P9. Albon P10. Gasly in P11 in the driver's standings. Constructors-wise, Red Bull nearly 900 points. Closest rivals were Ferrari on 722, Aston Martin in P4, Aston Martin P3, Mercedes P4, and Alpine in P5. Fantastic season, absolutely. It's going to be a massive, massive change next year on a lot of fronts. I hope you can stick with us for that. Thanks for sticking with us through this season. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Ta-ra.